Good morning, afternoon, and evening, and welcome back, everyone, to the Growth Street Podcast, Episode 9. I'm your host, Darsh Patel, and I could not be more excited for this episode today. Right now, I'm sitting across from an old friend, Mason Shipp. It's been a long time.
Long time, man.
Dude, how are you doing, man?
Doing well, man. I mean, it's I appreciate you having me here. You hitting me up was a nice sight. Obviously, we do our the March Madness and everything, but it was nice being able to hear from you. Obviously, best friends with your brother and all. But
yeah. Now I've known you for a long time through my brother. I mean, our younger brother was one of your best friends, kind of going throughout high school, middle school, all of that time. Yeah. And dude, since then, you've really been killing it. You go to Yale right now. You're a student athlete. You're currently a poli-sci major. You're a junior because of your football season. I know you're basically a football wide receiver. You're killing it. 2-year starter now. You're a wide receiver. You're catching touchdowns, doing your thing. And then you also are an intern at CBS Sports for Paramount as a sports internship there. But also you're pretty involved with campus, right? I know you're a DEI chair for your athletic program. I know you're also on the board of the Yale Bulldogs for Change. And you have a lot of your hands in a lot of different pots, so really trying to make impact regarding DEI, minorities, but also just business in general. So I'm super excited, bro. Just from one, I remember us again just being in high school and middle school, and now I look back on like, oh my God, you're killing it right now. So I'm super excited to sit across from you today because so many students out there, so many student athletes, so many people in general, I think want to hear a story like yours. And you really are the first college student that we've had on the podcast. So the relatability factor is going to be there. So I'm really excited to have you on, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. So just kind of to get us going, like how's school going right now? I know you just not graduated. You just finished your junior semester.
I finished my junior. Well, I'm gonna finish it in about 3 hours. So after this, I'm gonna finish up a paper after this. But I had an exam today and another paper this morning. So it's nice to be done with junior year. It's been really, really fast. Is the biggest thing I would say about my college experience is I'm sitting here now and I'm like, how am I about to be a senior? And that's coming from a guy who did 5 years of high school. So I'm sitting here like I've been fortunate, but it's gone so fast.
Dude, time does fly. And again, you said 5 years of high school. You went to Monroe, which is our hometown. Yes. Then you went to Petty, and then you graduated from Hun, right?
Yes. So went to Monroe for 2 years. Had to make a hard decision to transfer. We'll talk about that obviously, sure, in a few minutes. After that, I played 2 years at Petty. Loved Petty. Petty was, I wanted to obviously graduate from there, but circumstances came up and COVID happened, and our season was over. So I had to make a decision to either not play a senior season or to transfer to a local school that, I had a good relationship with as well, the Hun School, and made that decision for the opportunity to continue to get recruited, and it worked out in my favor. It was definitely a hard decision to make, like having to bounce to different schools and building relationships and having to kind of go make new relationships, but it worked out. It worked out for the better.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you've always had almost like an eye for success. Like you always kind of knew that you wanted to go and be something and be successful. So you've never strayed away from the hard decision. I mean, for one, 3 high schools, I feel like most people can't even imagine going to 2. You've been to 3, adding on top an extra year. Then you go to a college, right? And it's like, wow, now you're at Yale, which is, I can't even imagine what's like going to an Ivy League school for one, while also having to balance football. So what was that like?
Yeah, so I would say the first thing I always start with is like, I got to give all the grace to my family for the way they're able to kind of set me up with the foundation to make these hard decisions. Because I remember when I was talking about leaving Monroe, like I told my parents, like, I'm not doing it. I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I can't go to it. Like, and they sat me down. They're like, Mason, like, this is everything you want in your future, and everything you want is in front of you if you make this decision. And in all honesty, like they couldn't have been more right, because Petty like had changed my perspective about everything. It changed the way I look at academics and understand like the rigors of school. And then also as a student athlete, I played beside some really, really elite football players, played beside some players in the NFL now, and was nice to be able to kind of see that. In Monroe, I feel like I was kind of in a bubble with football, because I was like, okay, I felt like I was probably one of, if not the best player out there. I go to Petty and I'm back to being not even a starter. Yeah. And it was a culture shock that 10 minutes down the road, I'm at a school that they're like, you're not even playing at Petty now. So that was a culture shock for me. But it really humbled me, and it allowed me to work harder to get to where I'm at today, I would say.
So, yeah, I mean, I hear that, right? And it's, again, you can be at one school and be the best player and be at another school and it's a whole different atmosphere. So what was that transition like from you to going to Yale University? And, again, starting off having to balance it with school because, again, I think most people don't know the student-athlete's perspective, especially on the student side. We mostly hear about the focus on athletics. So what was the balance like for you and just your overall Yale experience like so far?
For sure. I would say the transition to Yale was hard, but it was what I expected. I think that when I went to Yale, obviously I'm like, listen, I'm going to an Ivy League school. I understand like education is going to be like it's going to ramp up to a higher degree, and football is going to be a battle in and out of itself. To go ahead, come in as a freshman, I wanted to play right away, and I had expectations for myself. But I think that I had an opportunity coming in to really meet some great people. The coaching staff at Yale is phenomenal. Everybody I've met is phenomenal, and the teachers, everybody like, is so welcoming in the community that the transition was hard, but it was expected. Like I got there, and school is hard, but school's school. It's like you do the work, you study, you're gonna get it done. And football, I didn't play freshman year. I played in 4 games, but it was like very minimal, and I think that was a very humbling experience for me coming off of my best season yet, my senior season. I was like, I'm gonna come in and dominate. And I'm like, it's Yale, it's Ivy League football. Like, when you're in high school, I'm chasing the Power 5 schools. I didn't get any offers that I wanted. Ended up at Yale. I'm like, I'm gonna go in and dominate. And I went in and I was a bench warmer. And I think that is a very humbling experience when you realize that there are people out there, regardless of where you are, if you're at an Ivy League school, if you're at a D3 school, like there's people who are very, very good at what they do, wherever you go. And you're gonna have to work hard to get what you want. I think that from the outside, I learned that, and it really changed my perspective on everything.
Yeah, I mean, for one, again, going into an atmosphere like that, I can completely understand what your perspective is, right? Because when you think about going to a school like Yale, going in athletics, all you think about is, Alabama, Georgia, like all these Power 5 schools. And again, coming off a great season, you're like, yeah, I'm going to come in here, I haven't heard like the best thing, not the best things, but you don't expect Yale to be a powerful, dominant football school, at least on the outside. So then you go in there, like, I'm ready to dominate. And then it's like, wow, like everyone's just me, but older now and more skilled and has that time. So again, I can't even imagine what that challenge is like. I mean, so you only played 4 games. So then how does that affect your academics, and how did that affect your kind of transition through that freshman year? What was that like?
The freshman year experience was all in all, like I would say my freshman year was my biggest growth spurt I've ever had, because I come in as a freshman and you're introduced to all these different opportunities. It's like, okay, you have the opportunity of football, you have school, you have all these new relationships, you're like meeting people, like you're meeting new friends and everything. Like everything's like, it's a culture shock. And then before you know it, it's like, okay, it's real, and you're on the bench game 1. And you're sitting here and it's like, oh. And then right there, like that's when it becomes real. Like you're sitting here like you think everything's gonna happen for you. And then you realize you have to go make it happen for yourself. That's just the truth. So it's like when I'm sitting there after week 1, week 2 into the season, I'm like, okay, if I want my Yale experience to be what I want it to be, I have to go ahead and do it for myself. And that's when I really started changing my mindset and started really getting after it, I think, in the classroom. Because like I'm at Yale, it's like I can't. Yes, like it's nice to go ahead and say you're at Yale and I'll be all. But at the end of the day, you got to do on school. You have to. You have to. And I think that it's been challenging sometimes to stay on top of my schoolwork because of how locked in I've been with football at times, especially during the season. But like that's something it's a non-negotiable. And I think that I've been very lucky to a point where like I feel like in the background my parents are always just like there, just like looking at me like handle your business. And it's just something that's been instilled with me, where it's like it always just it gets done.
It's the standard.
Yeah.
And I think again, so many people I know, whatever situation they're in, you can get complacent.
For sure.
Right. So whether you're in high school and you think, oh, I know I'll graduate, so I can do whatever I want to do. Whether you're go to a college, like I went to Maryland, dude, I underestimated the shit out of Maryland too. I go in there and I'm thinking, my Monroe high school experience was easy. Looking back on it, I realized that I did not build the habits to succeed academically, or maybe that's the way I was when I was in high school. So I went to Maryland, I'm like, oh, it's going to be the same way. I can just, do the bare minimum, get good grades, and have a good time. And again, like you said, culture shock. I sat there that first semester, 1.7 GPA. I did not get a single A on an exam until my sophomore year, bro. So like, I realized that really quickly, and it's again, new friends, new environment. You can't just go 20 minutes and be home. You're fully on your own now, and you're independent, balancing all these responsibilities. So when it comes to me and what I realized when it comes to actually making changes, again, you got to just go out there and do it, right? Because whether it's academically, whether it's in sports, whether it's if you want to make impact in your school, in society with social justice changes, whatever it really is, you have to like take onus and go out and make it happen, right? So for you, how'd you go and make it happen? Because again, you had a lot on your plate. So how did you kind of get the ball rolling? Because now, I mean, looking back on it, you've done so many things, being involved in so many, clubs, organizations, societies, internships, but you had to start somewhere. So how did you kind of go from, student athlete kind of struggling and figuring it out again to really getting your ball rolling to now starting to tackle more things and starting to make that change?
All right, I'll say 2 things on that. The first thing I'll say is you have time for the things you care about. Like I think something I live by, like it's something like one of the things that really guide me day to day is like the things that you care about, you always have time for.
Yeah.
So when you start prioritizing things, you understand that I'll have time for whatever I want to do in my life if it's something that I care about is really important to me. Freshman year, the things I cared about probably weren't as important. Video games. Yeah. Being able to go out on the weekends, have a good time. Like those were some of my priorities at the time.
That college experience.
And it's like, if you want to go ahead and be something special, per se, that college experience is going to be a different college experience. When you hear about the usual college experience, you're going to assume you're going to have you're going to go to school, you're going to have a good time, but the weekends you're going to have a great time. You're going to, experience all these different things, but your college experience is going to be different based on what you want out of it. And for me, my goal recently especially has been I want to maximize my potential in football. I want to be a great student, but I also want to leave an impact at Yale University. And I want to change and make the city of New Haven around Yale University better. So when you make those your priorities, what gets sacrificed? A lot of things get sacrificed. 100%. So the going out on the weekends, don't go out, okay? The video games, doesn't happen. The social media, doesn't happen. Like there's certain things that start going away, and it's like at first it's like, is this really what I want? But then you start seeing the benefits of what you do,
and you're like, wow.
And it's that's the most rewarding thing ever. Yeah. I would really say.
Yeah, I think about my own situation, right? It's if you really want it, and I have really big aspirations for myself, right? Like I personally am someone who everyone's different, but I want to be someone. I don't know where that is, and in 5 years so many things can change, but I know I'm not like on this earth to be like just to kind of go through the motions, right? So to do that, again, I had to sacrifice so much. Even like me moving home, that was a huge thing for me, right? Because I think about when I was in Chicago, it's me living this life. I was in the 45th floor of my apartment. I was on the Chicago downtown, right on the river. I was working this awesome tech job, making bank out of college, where most, that it's unexpected amount of money you're making. And I still felt like this was not gonna get me to where my potential was, which is to be this massive figure of change for myself, for my family, for just people in general, right? So I was like, okay, sacrifice. Now I felt like, okay, I sacrificed for one, that lifestyle. I sacrificed living, in a city, living with a lot of money, living around all these people. I ended my long-term relationship. I did a lot of things. I moved back home. And moving back home after living away for 5 years, dude, I'm telling you, like the first 2 months, me and my parents got into a lot of arguments. They want me to be the high school kid, but I'm trying to be an adult. So it was a whole thing for me. And again, I think of sacrifice. Okay, I had to get rid of so many things. Even now, right? It's like right now I could be watching Game 2 of the Knicks Pacers game, and every game has been a good game so far. But what am I doing, right? I'm sitting here with you today, and I'm trying to make my dreams happen, right? So that's kind of the perspective I want to share with people, because for everyone watching at home, it's whether let's say you're a college student and you want to work for McKinsey, or you want to start your own company. It's not going to happen with you doing what everyone else is doing, right? It's like, what are your differentiators? Yeah. The people who are working 7 days a week are going to always be the people who are working 5 days a week. People who are spending 60 hours will be people who are working 40 hours, right? So it's how are you optimizing your time and your schedule to get to where you want to go? Sure. So that's kind of how I look at it. And yeah, it's really, you don't realize how much you sacrifice until you look back on it after something good happens. Wait, whoa. Yeah. A lot of shit just changed, man.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So for you, again, like, let's go to kind of where you are now in school. Yeah. You have your hand in a lot of different pots right now. You're really trying to, as you're saying, make change. You said you really want to make Yale a better place. Yeah. You want to succeed in football, and you want to make the city of New Haven, a better, ecosystem for whatever it is you're looking to make it better in, right? So how have you been going about making those changes?
So I got to give my coach the biggest shout out here. Is he says something to us. One of his biggest quotes he always says, and he says, "Leave the jersey better than you found it." Is his biggest quote, and it's something that is really stuck with me. When it's like, leaving the jersey better than you found it isn't just in football; it's in every aspect of life. So for me, I think that I was pushed to kind of get involved in the school a little bit more the end of my sophomore year, and I said, you know what, why not? And I got involved, and my first role was just being a member of, it's called our Black Student Athlete Coalition. We call it BSAC. And one of my teammates, named Benny, he told me to get involved, and I said, all right, why not? A year later, I'm one of the co-presidents now, and I think that it's one of the things that I'm the most, like, I really, really love that community and what it's becoming. But watching, like, our coach says, like, plant seeds you never see grow. like slowly planting seeds into this community, and then watching them being able to grow. But I'm actually able to see them grow slowly. Yeah. Like it's a really, really rewarding thing. So like one thing we do is we do community service at the Boys and Girls Club. We started it up actually last month. We started doing it this month, and it's gonna be a week by week thing next year. So the Boys and Girls Club is for the kids of New Haven. They go there after school while their parents are at work, and we go there every Wednesday 4 to 5. We volunteer for an hour, play games with the kids, and you go there and just kind of see how their face lights up to see you. We did it the year before. We only went like twice. Okay. So now it's like we want to make a commitment to going every week. So they see our faces and they know our names. And I walk in, they know my name, and you're building the relationship.
It probably felt good when they said, "Oh, what's up, Mason?" You're like, it's awesome.
It means a lot when you do things like that. And then also when like the opportunities you get because of it. Like I've been able to go on, like I went on an all expenses paid trip to LA for a Black Student Athlete Summit. I met 3-4 kids from each different school. They brought each school brought 4 student athletes there. I met all these athletes. We're on USC's campus. We're out in LA on Yale's dollar. We always say on Yale's dollar. Just like hanging out, having a good time. I'm going to Indianapolis for a conference in 2 weeks. What's it called? It's like a future leaders in sports conference, and it's like on Yale's dollar. So it's like as much as like you go ahead and you're putting in all the time and effort, you'll get rewarded for it. You'll get rewarded for it.
Yeah, and I think again, the reward's not going to come in one day, 1 week, 1 month, but the more you actually care and you put effort in, like you're not expecting those reward. You're not expecting the reward. No. Like when you expect the rewards, then you're never gonna be satisfied, right? No. But again, right now you're just caring about building that community. Again, planting one seed that maybe will grow, and you can't even see it. But then what happens? Now you're gonna go have all these cool experiences, and it's like wow, right? So even how you were saying how 1 year ago you kind of just joined this club and you were like, here I am, and then now you're a co-president. What made you want to be that? Like, what was, like, again, I think about what I said earlier is everyone can just be a fly on the wall, can just be satisfied, right? I was in a lot of clubs where I was just, someone who wanted to watch, but some I really wanted to take leadership in. And some people are kind of too nervous or for whatever reason, they're content. Why did you want to be a president?
Yeah, so I think that when I started working at the school, my whole thought was, let me just be here and help cultivate a community. But once you get in it, you see how much potential there is, and you start meeting the people like behind the scenes, like all of the administrators who are in charge of the day-to-day operations of us. We don't get a chance to meet. And when you go in and because they do everything to help our student athlete experience be great. Yeah. They handle the bus times for us, the shuttle schedules, the jerseys and everything. When you meet them and realize how great of people they are and how much they care about us, it's really awesome because they want to help you. Yeah. So when you speak to them about the things you want or what you want to see at Yale, they're all ears. So I've been able to really pitch things to them, and automatically they're jumping on it. Like, how do you want to do this? What are your thoughts on this? Yeah. So I would say that through BSAC, I saw a foundation to really cultivate a great community within the Black student athletes at Yale, which has got me started within the space. I also I'm the chair of DEI.
Okay. So within BSAC or within what?
So here's how the structure works real quick. So it's called the Student Athlete Advisory Council. So we have it's called the short name is SAC. It's SAAC. Within SAC you have different board positions. My board position on SAC is the chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Okay. Within Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion you have different affinity groups that represent those. So you have BSAC's one of the affinity groups. So we have 6 affinity groups. We have Athlete Ally, we have the Asian American Student Athletes, we have the Yale Women's Athletic Network. So we have different affinity groups, and BSAC's one of them. Okay. So I work for DEI for all the student athletes, but also BSAC specifically. Okay, wow. Yeah.
So, I know your mom's really
involved
in DEI. Yeah. She's like the queen of DEI right now.
Yes.
So did that play a role in it? So what made, how, because you talk about how passionate you are about it. Yeah. I'm sure the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Yeah. So how did that play a role?
It's so funny because my whole thought with, my mom's done DEI work her whole life, right? And I see her do the work, and I'm like, one thing I realized in my mom's work is that it's a very stressful job because it's very hard to make and create and cultivate good change within the DEI space because it's very hard to sometimes get things moving. But it's probably the most rewarding job there is because when you do it, DEI is all about community building. You're building and cultivating an enriching community for people. So it's if I can make this Yale community better for Black student athletes, and then I can find a way to make it better for all affinity groups. So we had an event at the end of the semester where every affinity group brought people to one event. So before, all the affinity groups would be we would have a meeting once a month where we just talked and caught up. Yeah. But we're let's plan an event for every affinity group that does their own thing to come together, and we have a for change event where we all come together. And they did it at one of the best pizza places in New Haven, Bar Pizza. We rented out the back room. The Yale really took care of us with that. Great event. So when you see those things happen, it's the DEI work that is very frustrating. Sometimes I will say being a part of these the coalition, it's frustrating. Yeah. Because it's one, we're student athletes, so we have other competing interests that are more important for at the present moment. Yeah, of course. But you got to prioritize. For me, it's this is really important. We can make something really great. Yeah. So it's such a rewarding thing at the end when it all works out.
Yeah, so even going off that, right? I mean, I think about, for example, DI as an idea. It seems like a super stressful thing because, again, it's also a touchy topic, right?
Yes,
so
very.
That's where when I think of difficulty, it's okay, even when right now we're talking about my whole focus is recruiting and jobs, right? Yeah. Within that space, it's really complicated. I'm sure within the school, it's complicated. So the fact that you're able to do that, prioritize it, and make it really around building a community, I love that perspective because it's not about being divisive. It's about making everything, bringing it all together, which I really think is powerful.
With everything, I think the biggest thing I've continued to learn, I say one of my biggest takeaways at Yale so far is that the only thing that matters is relationships. The only thing that matters is the relationships you build while you're there. Because especially in football, I've loved playing 2 years, back-to-back champions, awesome. Yeah. But I don't remember much about the field. Everything I remember is the memories with my teammates. Wow. The memories you have in the locker room, the memories you have in the meeting room, the memories you have in the film room. That's what matters. Because you're going to leave 40 years from now, and no one's going to say, you remember that play where you ran this route? No one's going to remember that. Yeah. What you remember is the times you hung out and you built the relationships and had tough conversations. So I think that in every part of my life at Yale, I've learned that relationships are everything. So when it comes to networking, when it comes to being a student and meeting classmates in class, or when it comes to the football field, if you foster relationships, you will really look back and when you have a network of people all around the world, my landlord actually in my apartment said to me the other day, he's my one goal is whenever I go to a different place, I know I have one friend there. I go to Louisiana, I have a friend in Louisiana. I go to a different country, I have a friend there. That's such a great experience that you just have people all over the place. It's awesome.
And that's why I think, again, it's super important to be involved in as many things as you can be if you have the bandwidth to actually not just be a member, but be involved, right? So for me, when I was at University of Maryland, it was, I was a student initially, and I was still mapping out how things work, right? I never was in a club. In high school, I'm not really involved with clubs like that. So I go, and initially, so I saw this professional fraternity for business fraternity. So it was funny, my story to get in was you had to have a 3.0 GPA. You had to have that. You had to have business intent. I had a 2.91 GPA, and I was I sat in the first meeting, and it was they were playing this video to get everyone excited, and I'm wow, this is gonna be home. I can't wait to do this whole thing. And then they say at the very end, some requirements, just so you guys know, are you have to be business intent. I'm sure I'm business intent, that's good. Do you have to, have 2 semesters left? I'm yeah, 2 semesters left. Okay, that's good. They go, then you have to have a 3.0 GPA. Yeah. I said, no way, because all I wanted was community. Because for people who go to college, in my opinion, which I really think is a strong opinion, that if you go to school and you don't have a community at the school, you're not going to have a good time. You're not. You need a team. You need a club. You need a fraternity, a sorority, an organization. You need something to make that place home. College was not home for me until I had my people there, right? And your people are not going to be the people you meet in your hall on your no, those are not your people. It's you have to have what I call a third place, right? So the places you have are when you're at home and then when you're working. But what's your third place? Where is it where people congregate to kind of have a shared common idea or goal, right? So for you, that might have been football. That might be BSAC, right? For me, that was this organization. That was the business school. And through these things, I got to join all these clubs. I was in that. I was so basically also I was in sales in my junior year. So the MLS club, DC United, Wayne Rooney played there for a little bit. I was a sales intern there, and then I said, why does no one at Maryland know how to do this? Because it's pretty easy, and if people learn how to do it, they'd be good at it. I was an example. I was the first person from Maryland to go and do it there. So then I founded within our sports business society the ticket sales, the ticket sales development program, where I basically would teach students how to do ticket sales, and then we would funnel those kids to different sports teams, right? So, but those are the things where now I have community, and then you can actually enjoy and, again, build those relationships, right? Because of those people alone, now I know people, when I go to Seattle, I know someone. I was actually in Indianapolis last year, I knew someone. I go to Utah, I know someone in Utah. And this is all because of the people that I've met in my different experiences, right? So for you, I think about, your experiences, right? You've been involved with football in all these different places. What have been the most important relationships to you? And how do you create those important bonds where it's not just, hi, hey, DM once a year, how you been? How do you create in college, especially, these real relationships?
Best way to create a relationship is tough conversations. Like that, the best way to cultivate a relationship right away is having tough conversations or doing hard things together. Yeah. Like it's the two easiest ways. If you sit there and you're always just hanging out together, oh, let's go party, let's go do this, you're not going to be that close because what are you really talking
Facts,
about?
yep.
So when you're sitting down, you have to have hard conversations or you have to go through hard things together, which is like, for example, football. When we're doing the hard workouts in the 5 degrees in the winter, outside in the snow, we're doing hard things together. So you really have to build trust quick. And if you're having hard conversations, which is why some of my best relationships are in BSAC and other clubs, you're having hard conversations with each other about certain things you have to do. And when you're just having to be blunt with somebody that you're really just meeting, before you know it, you're automatically creating that relationship. So I would say tough conversations, doing hard things, and another thing is like putting yourself out there. I'm a part of it. So we have the SAC at our school, but within the Ivy League we have something called Ivy SAC. So Ivy SAC is it's a bigger board. Every school represents the school on the Ivy SAC.
Okay, yeah.
So we
like
have
math school, the computer science.
No.
school,
So like
that.
within the Ivy League, so there's like the Ivy League has a SAC.
Oh,
for
like
itself.
Harvard, Yale.
So Harvard, Yale.
Okay.
Each Ivy League school has a few representatives to represent the school for Ivy SAC.
Okay, gotcha.
So within that. There's a board. I'm on the board of that as well, and I'm the vice chair. I work with this girl Maya. She's at Columbia. This girl Leah, who's she's at Brown, and then Chloe at Cornell. Okay. We went to a summit there, and I was able to meet all these people from every different Ivy League school. Yeah. And I'm sitting here now, and it's like you have this small lens of Yale University. And then you take a step back, and you get to see everyone's different issues and what they go through at Brown, at Dartmouth. And like you're like, wait a minute. Like this Ivy League, we're all the same school. Yeah. We're all the same people doing the same things.
All different fonts.
Literally. So like being able to be a part of that also, like that was also through me just putting myself out there to join SAC my sophomore year before you knew all these things came out. But like that has been a great experience for me because got to travel some places, got to meet people from all over the Ivy League. I go to Princeton, I got people to see. Obviously I live here, but like I go to Dartmouth, I got people I know now. And it's really cool to be able to just meet people.
You're just slowly like getting to know more people. And you realize after you graduate, it's like, wait, I actually know so many people. Sure. And I agree with you when you say that, one thing I live by is you can go party with someone 50 times and you can have a certain relationship. You can have one deep conversation. You can have one conversation where you're just on your couch chopping it up, and you'll be closer with that after that one conversation than if you party with someone 50 times. It's because, in my opinion, like the way to build relationships is to kind of break that barrier of like surface level. Yes. And how do you do that? It's by opening up yourself. I think the second you can say something about yourself that's not common or not easily like spoken about, then the other person inherently is going to want to share about themselves, right? It's like, wow, wait, he can be real with me. He trusts me. I can trust them. Yeah. And then that becomes friendship, right? And I think with relationships, it's so easy where people nowadays too, a lot of it can be either transactional or surface level, which is okay. But that's not what's going to get you to where you want to go, right? Yeah. So I even think about, building my company like with Growth Street, and you want to have people, on your team, on your side that are not just there, it's not transactional. You want to have real bonds, right? And that's why whenever I have these clients, I coach hundreds of kids. I want to become an actual person to you. I'm not here to just be a coach on the side where I'm telling you what to do. No. Right? It's like, for example, your barber. I'm sure you go to your barber for I don't know how long. For me, I went to my barber for 9 years. Yeah. 9 years now. I don't go back to him because he gives the best fades that I know. Yeah. I mean, I think he does them, but I'm biased. But I'm sure if I drove 20 minutes down the street or went an hour to New York, I could find someone maybe objectively 1% better. Yeah. But it's a relationship that I have. We've had real conversations with him, and that's what creates real bonds. And who knows, like, maybe something will happen in the future where I can actually help him out or he can help me out.
Yeah, you got me laughing because my barber messed me up a little bit this last cut. So
really?
I'm going to have a little conversation with him. But
it looks tight. I couldn't tell.
As long as you can't tell. Yeah. But I was going to say for me, the two also things I wanted to add is like the two qualities I would say are really important to me as well of relationship building. Honesty, authenticity. If you're not honest and you're not authentic, there's no point in having a relationship. Because,
I agree.
Like, I think that nowadays, especially, like, people are afraid of being their authentic selves in the workplace, in college, or wherever they are because they're afraid of not fitting in, not, whatever the case.
There's a million reasons why. Like maybe you're afraid people won't like your personality. Maybe you can get fired for your opinions. Yeah, there's so many different ways of going.
I think being your authentic self will put you in the right place. So if you put yourself out there to say, you know what, like screw it, I'm gonna be who I am. Yeah. You're gonna end up where you're supposed to be. And if you're not who you are, maybe you shouldn't be there. If you're like you're working at a great company, you're getting good pay, but you have to go in and put on a facade for 8 hours a day. Is that what you want to do with your life? Yep. Like I just feel like if you're able to be honest and authentic, and also have a sense of humor while you're at it and have a good time, like that's where you want to be. That's home.
Yeah, man, and that's what I felt when I was at, like, literally you're describing my experience at LinkedIn. LinkedIn on paper is one of the, like, objectively, like, it's like I think it was the number 2 company to work for after Cisco, and I went there and it's like, dude, they treat you so well. But again, not knocking the company or the people at all, but it didn't feel like I could be my authentic self, right? For me, I'm someone who loves sports, who loves music, who loves, entrepreneurial things, and just for whatever the reason was, that was not the common interest about the people that were there. That's not on them or that's not on me. But I know I want to be around people where I want to elevate, I want to grow. It's like the people say, you're the sum of the 5 people you talk to the most, right? So if you're around 5 people all the time, and especially if you're at work, that's 40 hours of your week, and then you go home, what do you do? Like make dinner, go to gym, go to sleep. Like you're around people like that all more than your own family. So you have to, when you're around whatever situation you're in, whether it's football, whether it's school, whether it's work, you want to surround yourself with the best possible environment because that's who you're gonna either become or that's what's holding you back.
Yeah, I don't have much to say on this part, but quality over quantity. Honestly, I think that people, especially in college, I think that one thing I realized is people are always seeking to have the big group of friends. Yeah. But the biggest thing is having the quality group that you really trust. Like for me, it's like I could count on this hand right here how many my people, and I'm happy with it because like that's who I know. I can go to any of them with anything. And they got my back. Yeah. And it's like, do you want to have that, or do you want to have the group of 30 people you go party with?
Yeah. What matters more? What's gonna like last your life in your life longer, right? And you even look at high school. I know you probably have seen GIFs and memes like this where it's like freshman year, how many friends you had. And then it's like as every year, the funnel gets smaller. College, again, it's like this, smaller and smaller and smaller. So I'm curious, kind of to shift gears for a second here. You also are an intern at CBS Sports with Paramount, right? So I think one thing I really love to talk about with my guests is how to be successful by like the objective kind of norms, which is like internships, jobs, businesses, things like that. Because I think so many kids right now are watching. I know people I coach, they're so interested in, how can I get really good internships that, are with good companies, with what I actually want to do. So you're someone who loves sports. Like you live and breathe sports. And then you got to go to CBS to work in sports. So how does someone go ahead and do that? How did you do that?
Yeah. So I would say the first thing, just to get, I guess, more of the boring stuff out of the way first is like when it comes to finding the right spot, like you got to make sure you're handling your business outside of just school. You have to make sure you're showing up in the classroom and make sure you're getting good grades. You're contributing to the community around you, and you're being, if the best way to put it for me is if you're being the person you want to be, which for most people I'm hoping is someone who's continuing to develop themselves. Yeah. Chances are you're in a great spot to get a really good job somewhere. Yeah. But if you're not and you're spending, a lot of time just doing like things that make yourself better, maybe that's not the case. So I think the first thing you have to do is, if you're in the position where you're getting the jobs, you're doing the right thing, keep going. Yep. And if you're not and saying, how do I change this? How do I find a way to get myself in a position where I want to get a good job? I want to get a good internship. Look in the mirror and say, how can I change to make myself better objectively? Yep. And make those changes and then see where you go. But I would say that working at CBS Sports, the biggest thing I learned about internships that summer was that it is what you make it. CBS Sports could have been me going in, working my 8-hour shift and going home. Yeah. Or it could have been what I ended up making it, which was probably one of like the best summer experiences I've ever had. Yeah, bro, it was tiring. My shift was from 4 p.m. to midnight.
Tell me about that. What was the average day? What were you doing, bro?
So, woke up in the morning like 7, 8 a.m. and first order of the business for me was getting my workouts in. I'm training for football at the time. I'm living in Connecticut still. My CBS. Is this in Connecticut? So their office was in Stamford, Connecticut. So it's 45 minutes from my school, really an hour with traffic. Yeah. And then they had a city office as well that I would go to occasionally. Okay. So I was at school. I would wake up. I would work out for basically half the day. I would go to the gym, do my field workout. I'd get home usually around 1 o'clock, and I had to leave for work at 2:30. So my first half of the day from like 8 to 1 is football oriented. Film, workout, shower, get ready, eat, get in the car, go to work. 2:30 to 3:30 is my commute to work. Pick up food on the way for lunch for the day. I get to work at 4 p.m. I'm there from 4 to 12. Wow. We did the afternoon shifts for the afternoon shows, the videos and the highlights and everything for the afternoon shows. We had 2 live shows at nighttime. Then they had CBS Sports HQ has a 24/7 running show. Wow. They had to continuously put things up for. So I was making highlights. I was doing the live shows in the background, doing like the behind the scenes stuff with the producers and everything, and kind of learning how all the inner workings work.
Yeah.
That was day to day. When the really cool thing about this job was there were really great opportunities to go to speaking engagements, to meet kind of the higher ups of CBS. And that's when I say the opportunity could have been you work that job and you're done, but I really made sure I maximized those opportunities. And I got a chance to go into, I think I've sat in 3 or 4 of the executive vice president's offices. I had a 15-minute conversation one-on-one with the chairman, Sean McManus. Emailed him and I said, hey, like, would love to meet. And he answered. He answered his own personal email. Like, well, I feel like people don't realize, like, these people, they want to meet the interns. They want to meet, they want to connect with you. I sent him a quick email, hey, would love to meet with you, would love to talk. Sat in his office overlooked the entire thing in New York City. Bro, the office was ridiculous. I'm like, all right. So I'm in there and like.
There's levels to it. There's levels to this, bro.
I'm in there and it's like be yourself. Be authentic, and like those experiences will come, but you have to make sure when you're at the internship, you have to go and seek them out because they're all there.
Yeah, I agree. I think most people are just afraid to ask, like, which is the funniest thing. Like for me, what's helped me so much in my career has been like cold messaging people. I do this. I talk about this in a lot of the podcasts, but basically it's like what's gotten me from where I am to where I am now. The biggest thing is that I just leverage, again, human nature. I keep talking about the power of human nature. If you are anyone and you say, my name is blank, I want to talk to you because I'm curious about I want to learn a bit more about you. Everyone who hears that thinks, oh, they want to learn about me. I'm cool. Of course I love to talk about myself, right? So now what ends up happening is now you get to sit across from all these cool people and learn about them, right? Even at an internship, right? For example, everyone's doing the same amount of work. If you ask for an extra project or you ask to shadow someone or you ask to do these things, that's what's going to take you to the next level, right? Even for an internship, man. Like, I know I helped coach this one kid. They said, oh, my aunt's brother works for, I believe it was, Under Armour, and I want an internship there. I was like, you should ask him. He's like, oh, I don't know. Isn't that weird? Like, I don't want to see it. I'm like, just literally send him a message. Send him an email. Next thing you know, they're having a call the next week about an internship. And it's like, things are that easy. It's like, if you just ask for things to happen, not saying it'll always happen, of course, but if you, again, as you were saying, put yourself in the best situations to succeed by taking care of yourself, focusing on school, and just being the best version of yourself, then inherently you will attract the things to happen to you too.
Yeah, I think I'll share a quick story from the summer as well. I think that sometimes you got to make like there's opportunities that are there and like they don't sound the best, but they always will end up in your benefit if you try to. So like they had a forum at CBS Sports for the summer. It was called their college football seminar, and all of the biggest names in CBS college football come together into one room to talk about the plan for the year, the programming, what games they're gonna have, and kind of how everything works. And they needed interns to kind of be like the chauffeurs and like the, grab the waters, like they're kind of like the receptionists for the day in a way. And I was like, you know what, I'll do it. So like I went.
It aligns perfectly.
Yeah, man. I took a train at 6 a.m. into the city, and I was basically like the chauffeur for the people to get there, the receptionist for the day, getting waters, cleaning up the plates, whatever. But during that day, I met like so many people within CBS Sports and got a chance to talk to them about kind of how the process works and everything. And then after that, I went to work from 4 to 12. And I was like, it's not a great day. I was from 6 a.m. to midnight. You're running around like a crazy man, but I made connections that I'm looking back and say I learned so much about the sports world, which as you said, I'm crazy about. Yeah. And like I want to work in sports when I'm older, and like 100%. Being able to, those little tidbits are so good to learn now because you can start kind of getting the picture of what this thing looks like day to day.
Dude, and you're going to learn so much from them, right? Because I'm sure afterward you probably emailed them
right away.
Hey, my name's Mason. I know I ran into you earlier today. I love getting to know you. And now, boom, that's an ally right there. 100%. And you go 10 years later, who knows, like, again, these things are all not to be paid off right away. 10 years down the line, maybe you want to go work for, whatever company they're at now. It's, oh, Mason, you're the kid that we keep talking to once a year. Yeah. You know what? You're doing great stuff. Come over. Let's talk.
Yeah, and these people are awesome. I mean, one of them, he went to Cornell and found out he went to Cornell. So I emailed him after I met him this summer. I said, hey, like, nice to meet you this summer. I'll see you soon. Like, we played Cornell. Can't wait to beat them. He's like, haha, like, I know y'all beat us. We lost to Cornell this year. So I emailed him after the game. I'm like, hey, man, I don't know if you saw, but y'all beat us bad. And he's laughing about it. It's like, we were making jokes. These people are great people. Yeah. Yeah. So
no, now kind of to shift gears again, I want to talk about football now a little bit because this is where you're almost like, I feel like your life was built on this game, right? So I know from now kind of going from the student aspect to now the internship aspect, let's go to the football aspect a little bit. Yeah. Tell me your experience. Like, what does football mean to you?
Yeah. Football's everything, man. Like, I can't talk about football without a smile on my face, bro. Like, I have so much passion about the game of football. Like, it drives me every day. Like, I think that in order to, I guess, like, wake up every day, everyone needs something that drives them. Yeah. And for me, like, even if it's going to school, it's always been football for some reason. Like, my motivation to do well in school has always been football. Yeah. my motivation to help the community has always been football. And I can't explain it. I don't know how those two things go hand in hand, but for me, it always goes back to, football is making me do this. And I can truly say football has made me a better person holistically when I can look back in everything I've done and say football has made me a better leader. Football has made me a better person. It's made me a better teammate. It's taught me so many different things, and I don't think who I am today, without football, I don't exist. Yeah. I really don't.
And you started, how old were you when you started playing?
I played flag football since I was 6. My parents only played tag football until 8th grade. So up until 7th grade, my uncle played in the NFL, my oldest brother played football. So they were like, okay, you know what? We're not, all this football stuff, you're gonna play flag football. So I was playing flag football until 6th grade. I loved it, man. It was fun. You're running around with the flags on, you weren't getting hit. But I put the pads on in 8th grade for the first time, and ever since then. So I haven't played tackle for too long, in all honesty.
Okay. Yeah. And you said it's a family thing, right? You said your uncle played in the NFL. Yeah. Who's your uncle?
Marcel Shipp's his name. He played in the NFL for about 6 years. Okay. Arizona Cardinals. He was a running back. So and then my oldest brother Miles, I think that I always say he's better than me at football. Yeah. Objectively, objectively. He went to Tufts, D3 school, but he was a dog. He played at Monroe, and the reason I ended up transferring to Petty, my goal was to go Division I for Monroe Township. I wanted to play from my hometown school,
and then go to a Big 5. Yeah,
go ahead and play college football. But I can't. I did it for Monroe because we haven't had Division I football players from Monroe before. It's an unheard of thing. Yeah, it is, yeah. But seeing Miles' experience, you watch his film, bro. Miles, he was a dog, and I'm like, how is he not? You know what I'm saying? So school, for me, that was. He was going to call me.
He be that good, be better than me, and then not be where I want to go.
Which is why he said to me, he was like, Mason, you got to get out of there, man. He's like, go to Petty. I was like, all right, I will. And you're telling me it because you experienced it. So that's kind of really got me on my feet to go ahead and make that decision.
Dude, for one, I love that because where Miles comes from, I come from, because my younger brother, I tell him all the time, dude, I'm the one in the family that has to make the mistake. Yeah. And I always say younger siblings, they think you're 2 years behind. Nah, dude, you're 2 years ahead. You're 2 years ahead, and it's crazy, man.
And I have 2 older brothers, so for me, I've had it twice. I get to watch both of them make their mistakes. I get to literally learn from everything they do, and I just sit there and I just take it all in, everything they're doing, and also I get it easy now because my parents got all of their all the strictness out with them, so there's hey, we're just hanging. So it's been, I enjoy being the youngest, I will say.
Yeah, man. And again, when it comes to football, I know you brought some things here today, so I'd love to kind of go into this. So I know you brought your football here, and then you have your 2 championship rings. Yes. So if you want to hold them and show them, show them off a little bit, I'd love to see them.
These are the 2 rings we got. Look at the camera right here. So this is from Team 149. This was from 2022, the season before this past one. And this is
hold it to the camera.
Of course.
They're beautiful, man. Yale championship ring.
So this Yale championship ring says the name right here. I hope you're getting it right here. And then my other one, hopefully it fits in this finger. So you got these 2 right here, man, and
that is dope. That's a dope shot.
Like I said, when it comes to this football thing, it says back to back right here. It's nice. Well, when it comes to the rings in football, I feel like these are just a testament of the work the team puts in. These are nice to look at in a display case, but for me, it's it's awesome to have, but the most important thing is the work you put in with the guys. So it's you get to the end of the spring, it's it's a testament to the work you put in.
It's just a physical piece of the journey you just went on.
And for me, it's the past 2 rings, I'm sitting at dinner after we win the championship. My parents are like, why aren't you more excited? It's listen, when you, I feel in a way I'm brainwashed. And when you work hard, our coach said, he always says, framed to us, if you work hard and you do everything right, at the end of the season, someone's gonna hand you a trophy. That's just how it works. Yeah. And I'm we worked hard, we did everything right. Duh, but it's I said, it's always nice to get things that kind of tell you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, for one, I feel when everyone's a kid, for me, I always knew that so when I was a kid, right, I love football. I was a psycho who would put NFL Total Access on at I was 8 years old, and I would throw that on, and I'd watch the entire combine, and my parents think I'm crazy, and I would know the 53-man roster for every single team. I would go on Madden and learn every single play, but I knew I was someone who never was just destined to play. Right, my first year I played on the freshman team, and the week before the season started, I had a full fracture of my ankle. I had a cast up to here, so it was the one time I tried to play, it's it was destiny, right? So. But every kid dreams of having a championship ring, going through this experience, right? So it's for you, kind of speaking to other student athletes too, what is it like being like a football player, right? Like, do you have aspirations to be in the NFL? How much time do you left at Yale? I'd love to hear what is like your mindset now with football, kind of going to the future.
Yeah. I hope this isn't too much of like a hard-on answer, but like my answer for things like this is like I put in 100% effort every day, everything I do. Like I'm gonna every day I'm the type of person that I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do the work, I'm gonna make sure I'm the hardest worker there, and if I'm not, then someone better be going balls to the wall to outcompete me, and everything's gonna take care of itself. That's kind of how I look at it. So if things work out the way in my favor, that's awesome, and if it doesn't, I'll look back and say I gave everything I got.
Yeah. You have 2 semesters left, you said?
I have 2 seasons left. So yeah, I have 2 more seasons of football of eligibility left. I'm definitely gonna use both of them, regardless of what my goals are. I think that I love football too much to not play 2 more seasons. So yeah, I think that, like I said, go in, do the work, football, school, clubs, and everything takes care of itself.
Yeah, and as someone like yourself who's so planned and like has wants to reverse engineer your goals, this is like the question I've been waiting to ask you is, what do you want to do after you graduate from Yale, man? Like, because for me, that answer changed for myself so many times when I was in school, and now I know you're working in all these different clubs. You're in your major. You're a smart kid. I know you were all Ivy League academic team in last year, so I know you're crushing the books too. So I'm curious now. What do you want to do? Do you want to play in the NFL? Do you want to get a job? Like what is the future like for Mason Shipp?
Yeah, it's it's for me. It's like it's coming soon, and I know it, but it hurts so bad to think about it. It's like, bro, like I can't believe I'm like one day the graduation is gonna come. I think that I want to go to law school. I know that for sure. I think that for me, I want to work in sports. I know that sports keeps me going. Whenever I'm in classes at Yale, I love the material, but I'm like, this isn't for me. Yeah. It isn't, and it's like, I like learning it because it gives you kind of a foundation and a background to things. But at the end of the day, it's like I'm gonna make sure I do well in this class, but this is not for me. Yeah. And I know that the thing that keeps me driven, like I said, football drives me, but it's not just playing the sport; it's the sport itself, and like it's just the aspect of the entire sport. And that's the same. That same goes for a lot of other sports as well. I love all sports. Like I'm the one like student athlete here. Our student athlete culture at Yale is good, but it can be a lot better. Like we don't our turnout for games and like events is not that high. So like, on a random Saturday, I'll walk into the tennis center and watch a tennis match. I'll go watch kind of on ESPN Plus. I'll watch whenever Yale's playing. I'm trying to watch the game. Like I'm a junkie for sports, and I think that kind of keeps me driven. I know I want to stay in the sports realm. Like I want to do like more like management in the sports side, sports management. Don't want to speak obviously too lofty here, but like if my dream job would be like being a commissioner of a league. Being a commissioner of the league, being an athletic director. Those are kind of like the two things I look at and say like that. Seeing that day to day, like being able to communicate with my athletic director sometimes, and being able to meet like at the football seminar at CBS, I got a chance to listen to Tony Petitti talk. He's the commissioner of the Big Ten, and like kind of hearing how they go about their business and hearing like their process of getting there. It's like all this stuff aligns with what I'm interested in. Yeah. So.
And I know you currently we were talking off camera earlier, but you actually work with your athletic director right now in order to pass legislation. So I hear when you say lawyer with sports, I'm like, you're actually already doing it right now. So what about how did you like kind of come to this idea? Like, what was the realization for you that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I would say that like speaking specifically about that situation, I think that my mind is always about how can I make things better, how can I change things, and I saw an opportunity within the Ivy League, and I was like, okay, this is something that should be changed. Regarding the policies itself, because it's still in the voting process, I won't speak too much on the actual details, but I think that I looked at it and I was like, okay, there's an opportunity for change here. Yeah. So let me go ahead and try it. It's a lofty goal, but I'm gonna go ahead and try it. And my athletic director was all game for it, and was shout out her name Vicky Chun. Shout out Vicky. She's awesome.
Shout out Vicky Chun.
Like she's amazing. She cares about the student athletes at Yale. She's sitting front row at the game. She's at all the games. She's traveling to the games. Like it's so awesome seeing an athletic director who's actually invested in like the students, and like you walk up to her, she knows you by your name. It's like, okay, like this is nice that like these people here, like
the only athletes that exist, bro. For her to know your name, that's pretty crazy.
Like, it's nice to know that like they care about us and they're invested in us and our experience. So I think that it's a testament to all the athletic staff at Yale. Like they really care about student athletes, which is why I think like I would not want to go anywhere else for school. Like I know like I had dreams of Power 5 when I was in high school and stuff, but I look back and like with the NIL landscape and everything now, like I'm so happy I'm where I'm at now, because these relationships now in these Power 5 schools, like they're becoming very, very iffy because it's all about money now. NIL, all football is about and sports is about money. Yeah. And within the Ivy League, that's not the case. It's still about the student athlete development, student athlete experience, and it's really nice to be able to go somewhere like these people actually care about you.
And I was going to ask you that. I was like, how does the NIL, how does that tie into like Yale? Because I know Yale is not Power 5, but do you still, are you involved with the NIL? How much does that play a role with athletes at Yale?
So, well, here's what I'll say. NIL at Yale is as much as you want it to be. If you want to go ahead and you want to dive into NIL space, you definitely can. Like there's avenues for you to get involved in NIL, but our athletic director in the framework of the Ivy League, like the Ivy League commissioner, like the way they all put it is like the NIL space for us is for athletes to show off when they do extraordinary things. You're an athlete and you're a musician, go ahead and like produce and sell your music because before you weren't able to. You wrote a book or you writing a book, go ahead and show that off. But it's not for the Ivy League. It's not so much as let's go ahead and get you all these partnerships and let's get you this, let's get you like these donations to come give you the collective like. Those aren't things that like, Ivy League like these are what we're doing like other schools are doing, and I think that in all honesty for the development of like the Ivy League to stay together, the Ivy League's the longest like standing conference. Like people aren't leaving the Ivy League. You know,
it's true.
Cornell's not going to call up tomorrow and say we're out the Ivy League.
Yeah, because that is who they are.
That's tradition. That's the Ivy League in general. Yeah. So I think that other conferences like you saw what happened to the Pac-12. It's
they broke apart for the bag.
And it's the money, it's the incentives, and it's like being able to be somewhere where it's like okay. This is not the new frameworks are not going to.
We can't be bought and sold.
Exactly. So like NIL, like I've done a few things. Like every year I work with a few companies. Like shout out American Cleaning Institute. I work with them like every year. Like every year we do like this college like beginning of the year thing with them and on make a quick video for them. But like in all honesty, I haven't invested a lot into it. I think that I'm gonna look back and regret it because I think that there's definitely avenues to go ahead and get involved. But like I said, you have to pick and choose what you put time into. And for me, it's like that's not something I'm going to pick and choose put time into.
Right? Yeah, because I know last year you started a podcast, your MK podcast. That's why you're pretty good at speaking right now. It's like you're one of our better spoken guests so far. I was like, maybe NIL can help you out.
I was like, like this podcast, like all these things. Like Kelvin is kind of like my entrepreneur buddy. Like,
what's the name of the podcast?
It's we call it like Live with MK. But
Live with MK. Check it out.
Apple Podcast is called Beyond the Surface. You want to check it out? Go ahead, check it out. Some good episodes, but I think that he's like my entrepreneur buddy. We talk about all these like ideas and all these like these business ideas we have together. And we're like, this podcast it's a hit. And it is a hit. It definitely would be. But it's like you have to put so much time and attention into it. Yeah. And it's like you don't want to spread yourself too thin. Like for them, like you're doing this now. Like in order for you to be successful with this, you got to go on. You moved home. You moved home. You're locked in on this. Yeah. And it's like you got to make those decisions. For me, it's like I'll make the decision that this was awesome to do. But it's not for me right now.
Yeah, but the amount of stuff you have on your plate too, like I get it. And also it's like a lot of people, for example, even like Joe Rogan, dude, he did it for 5 years for fun on his couch before he was the number one podcaster maybe of all time, right? So it's like, again, I just think of people following their passions. Hey, you're pretty well spoken, man, and I think NIL maybe they can sponsor your podcast.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man. But now it's kind of I'm excited for the Growth Street Minute. This is some rapid fire questions I have for you. Not too rapid, but we're just gonna go through some things, right? So we're gonna kind of start off easy, right? So you're at Yale. What's your favorite food? What would you like to eat?
Favorite food, Indian food. So
Indian food.
We have a place.
My dad makes some chicken upstairs, bro.
Oh, word? Yeah. So we got a place called House of Naan at Yale. So if you're around Connecticut, you're in Connecticut, House of Naan. It's on York Street. Go check it out. It's a good spot. It's a good spot.
There you go. That's not what I was expecting. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team. So I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this if this ends up going on. I'm on Instagram, but I'm a players guy. I don't really have big teams. Football, I'm a Ravens fan for football. That's it.
Football for Ravens. Okay.
Basketball, I'm all over the place. I'm a Mavs fan. I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a Warriors fan.
Okay, so who do we want this year? Say the Timberwolves. You better say the Timberwolves.
The Timberwolves gonna win. But
who do you want?
I'm a Kyrie Irving fan at heart. Like that's like my favorite basketball player. Okay. So I'm rooting for the Mavericks.
Okay, rooting for the Mavs. Not looking good. Not looking so good right now.
Game one.
Game one. All right. Not counting football. Favorite sport.
Favorite sport, basketball. Like I would say, like I actually enjoy watching basketball more than football.
Oh really?
Yeah, I do.
Wow. So you rather watch an NBA game than an NFL game?
I would say the order would probably be college basketball.
Okay, yeah.
NFL, NBA, and then college football.
Okay, gotcha. Now, in the spirit of kind of what's going on in the cultural world, favorite artist?
Drake.
That
whole Kendrick thing is over with. I'm not hearing it like that. Everybody like Kendrick did not win the battle. It is what it is. I'm riding that Drake.
You've heard it here first from a Yale student, guys.
I've analyzed the lyrics. It's over. Like, I read every single lyric line. Kendrick's not winning. It's a facade.
Awesome.
He got trolled on Twitter, and it is what it is, man.
All right, you heard it here first. Favorite memory at Yale.
Favorite memory at Yale. That's a good one. So many.
Number one.
Number one, I would say after the celebration for the team after our spring game, not after the championship game. So we have spring ball. So after spring ball, we have a spring game to end the spring off. And after the spring game, it was 2022 year. Like all the old seniors came back to get our rings. This one, and everyone like the rest of the afternoon, like we were all hanging out together for like 7 hours. It was one of the best days ever, man. Like we were all just like in such a good mood. But it was a great day. It was a great day.
That sounds like a good time. You look happy talking about it. All right, favorite piece of advice that you've heard?
Favorite piece of advice is I've said it a few times here, but leave the jersey better than you found it. That doesn't just apply to football; it applies to everything in your life. Like when you do things day to day, you have an opportunity to make impact in places. Yeah. So make sure when you do something, you're doing it to leave an impact somewhere.
Yeah, I love that. I think again, leave the jersey so everyone's can kind of follow along. It's not just it's not your actual jersey, but it's wherever you are, leave better than you found it. I love that. I think I'm gonna stick onto that now. I think it's gonna resonate with me as well.
Throw in one more. It's plant seeds you never see grow. We talked about that as well. But don't be afraid to do something for a community and not ever see it grow until you leave. Yeah. It's okay for you to go ahead and make a change and then look back 10 years and see your change is finally happening. I think people always want to see instant success, but it's okay to go ahead and say, I'm going to make this change for the community today, and I'll look back and be happy.
Yeah, it's delayed gratification, right? Like, again, the first 100 things you do, maybe you don't get seen, but maybe after day 101, everything starts to come together, right? Maybe it's, you don't go to the gym every day expecting to have a six-pack tomorrow, but a year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years later, there you go. Maybe there'll be something there.
There you go.
So the next one I have is someone who's your role model in life. Who's the one person that you look up to or that means the most to you or inspires you, whatever that is? Who is your role model?
Parents. And I can't pick one. I got to pick both. Their paths to where they are today. Like we talked about. My parents are doing great things, both of them, in their own respective rights, and their path coming from where they've come and the families that they came from and what they have to do to get to where they are. Can't speak enough about kind of everything they've done. They set my life up to a point where it's like I can't not be great because of the fact that they were great within their circumstances. It's just, yeah.
No, I think the same way about mine, dude. Again, like the same way your parents are. It's like my dad, bro. I tell this to everyone. He's like the generational Patel of our family, bro. Yeah. It's like my mission is to pass him because if I was thinking if I have kids or grandkids, like my dad's the one who's gonna be like the one gassed up of like for eternity. It's like guys, you don't know about Omil Patel though, right? But like, I'm trying to be that guy. But I hear you on that. Sure. And then the last thing is like masonship is not masonship without, and then 3 things.
Masonship is not masonship without football. I gotta start with football. Not masonship without football. My family. And what's the third one? Masonship's not masonship without football, family. I'm gonna go food. I gotta go
food. Yeah, you're a foodie. The 3 F's: family, food. It's like Thanksgiving, right?
That's Thanksgiving, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, thank you. I think that I love going over those things because it really gets to like let you know on a casual level what are you into, but then like what actually matters to you, right? So I kind of want to go back into the family aspect because I know we haven't talked about your family a lot, and as someone who knows about your family from the outside, I know I've spoken to your mom once before, but my brother is really close with your family, and he loves your family. He loves them. So I would love to hear more about like the influence that they have had on you and like again your parents, right? I think one thing that people don't talk about a lot is like the influences that kind of help them or maybe hinder them to where they are. Yeah. So I'd love to hear more about like you mentioned your parents like your biggest role models. Like I'd love to hear a bit more about like what they have done and like how it's helped you get to where you are.
Yeah, I'm who I am because of my parents and because of my family. I think that they've instilled in me the values that I need to do to have to be successful. But at the same time, they've done it in a way that we have such a good relationship where I can trust them with everything. Yeah. I can have conversations with them that I feel like a lot of people aren't able to have because of, you can't talk to your parent about this or the stigma that, they want to understand. Yeah. They do understand because they've been there before. So it's like, I think that I'm so grateful for our relationship because I can speak to them like a friend, but they're my parents. Like they're never gonna fail to make sure I know that they're my parents. Like, so it's an awesome thing right now. I think that my biggest fear was like when I get older, what's my relationship like with them? Like it's gotten better with age. I think that a lot of people like go the opposite way. Like when we get older, like we start clashing because whatever. No, it's only gotten better. I think that they work so hard at everything they do. I think they've worked hard their whole lives, and I think they're still working hard now, even though that they're seeing success for what they do. But seeing how they attack every single day just gives me the motivation to make sure I go ahead and I'm always on top of my stuff.
Yeah, dude, I think I love what you said that it gets better over time. That's the same thing with me, dude. Like for me and my dad especially, dude, when I was growing up, me and my dad would beef all the time. It was like, because I was the older sibling, so while I was the one shoveling all the snow, my brother was making snow angels, and he's only a year and a half younger than me. So I was, me and my dad were always beefing growing up. But now it's like, once you kind of grown older, it's again, the relationship got so much better for me. Like for example, dude, doing all of this is like, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. Like, again, like talk about the change I made, like going from being, one of the highest earners in my age bracket to now going back to ground zero is humbling. But my dad is someone who's an entrepreneur, and it's the first time in our lives that we actually get to like talk about, have like a common interest. So again, I think like hearing that you have that bond, it's awesome. Yeah, like even with for example, like your mom, the DEI bond, I think that's like something that's pretty cool.
It's nice with her because like I'll come home and like I'll talk about my complaints and she's like,
you can rant it all out.
She's like, you don't even know. She's like, you don't even know the half of it. So enjoy it while you're young. I'm like, I will.
Yeah, and then I think about, for example, right? It's like now you kind of talking with you have family, you have also your brothers. What's it like with two brothers? I know, especially in terms of like things that you've learned from them. Because at Growth Street, the big thing that we want to really focus on is like how you can grow, what's helped you grow, what are reasons for growth. That's why I focus on things like family and like work and like student experience, right? So I also am curious, like I'm an older sibling, so I have my perspective. As the youngest sibling, what is like your perspective of having that?
I'll speak on being the youngest. Like, it's nice. I'll start there. But the biggest advice I'll talk about growth wise is that sometimes it's better to watch and not talk. And I think that anybody who sees this is probably gonna laugh because I'm a talker. I talk a lot, but I think that I'm always watching, right? And you're all, like when you're able to watch people around you who you trust and respect, you'll learn so much. So being able to watch my brothers go through their own battles throughout life and being able to just literally just take notes. You're watching it, mental note. He did that, I would have done differently, mental note. And you start knowing because the same problems they're gonna have, chances are you're running into them too. So I have an opportunity to really watch them go through life 4 years ahead of me and 1 year ahead of me. So it's nice where like I get the long range, I get the short range. So it's like you get to see everything. So for me, it's like it's been so nice to be able to just sit back, watch, and just for me, it's like for my head, it's correcting. But for them, it's not like they're doing anything wrong. They're living great lives and doing great things respectively. But for me, it's okay. I think I can alter this a little bit to make it more optimal for myself. And it's been nice to be able to do that.
No, and it's funny because you sound like, when I hear you say that, it's like you sound like Yash.
Yeah.
Like, you literally sound like my younger brother. He's like, right, I just like, because the one thing he always says is like, he just chooses to be observant. Like that's like his number one thing is he's observant of everything. And then it's funny because as an older sibling, I feel like that level of observance, like even though it's there, it's not one of the things that, like I actively look out in him or other people. So I think that's an interesting thing to talk about. But then also your other big role is, again, being a student athlete. Now I kind of want to get into more of like your advice and your experience, right? So now I kind of want you to imagine you're talking to either Mason from 4 years ago or someone else going to go start their college as a student athlete or even as just a student. What would you tell them about what they're about to experience and how to get the best out of it?
Get it together, man.
Get it together.
I say as a joke, but on like a serious note, like I think the biggest thing I wish I looked back in new freshman year is like how much of an impact you can have if you choose to. Like if you really lock in and dial in on the fact that you can make something wherever you are so much better than it is right now. If you put the intentional time and effort into doing it, if I had to say it in one sentence, that's it right there. But I think there's really levels to that. I keep seeing out the corner of my eye, Atomic Habits. Read that book. Yeah. Changed the way I look at a lot of things when it comes to like, you don't have to read the book to change things, but the whole mindset is like, you start changing small things in your life. Like you start reading 10 pages a day. You make sure you
make your bed in the morning.
Hey, bro, it's so easy. But in college, like I see so many of my friends do not make your bed in the morning. Yeah. Drink water when you wake up. Get some exercise in. Like these whole things in your head, it doesn't change the way you write on a test. Yes, it does. It does. I promise you it does. Like when you put in effort to be a better person, you are better all around. So when you focus on making sure that your hygiene's in check, that you're what's it called? You're going to bed at the right time. Yeah. Like during the spring, we have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I go to bed at 8:30 at night. Wow. And it's like, you're going to bed at 8:30 as a college student. Yeah. I'm waking up at 4:30 and I'm up from 4:30 to 8:30 and I still get to maximize my day. But you start doing small things and it's like you develop all around, you're going to be better for it. So if I look back at me coming in, a mess. I say a mess. I was doing all right, but
You're doing, give yourself some more credit, man.
I'll be like, man, like start now, because my biggest regret is I didn't start then. Because I look back, I'm like, I have a year left, and there's so much more I want to do up in New Haven, at Yale, but it's like, just start now. So don't be afraid when you come in as a freshman. Just get going.
Yesterday you said tomorrow, so let's go and do it. Yeah, and I think, again, another thing I want to hear you talk about is, you really talk about, like, one thing that you've had is a lot of opportunities to be a leader and be involved. So for the kid who's, maybe a little bit nervous about speaking up or wanting to volunteer for a chair position, or he doesn't want to run against because the other kids may be more popular than him, how do you recommend, because for someone to have a good, I think just like before we go even into that specific thing, how can someone have a good college experience where they actually make it a home, they have a good job? Like, how do you have a good college experience, Mason?
I would love to speak on the leadership thing next as well. So
Yeah,
make sure we don't
go
forget
to,
that.
yeah,
Make sure
for
we don't forget
sure,
that.
for sure.
College experience. I think that going into college, you need to, like, if you're not in college yet and you're watching this, write down what you want. Like, go on your notebook and say, here's what I want in my college experience. And if you are in college, what do I want tomorrow? What do I want for my next 2 years? I think that, like, like, I think, like, in all honesty, it's like you can make a decision to alter your experience based on what you want. If you want to have a good time, have a good time. Like, I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking that. It's just not what I wanted. It's not like I still have a good time, like, in my own right. Like, for me, it's not going out. For me, it's, eventually every once in a while playing video games. I'll go to the studio and make some music with my friends. Sometimes a joke. Like, we'll do things like, well, I'll still have a good time. But, like, find out the key takeaways you want when you look back and say, my college experience was fulfilling because of this. Whatever that this is what you need to do in college.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I think a big thing that most people do is they want to experience, or they try to do what the experience is, right? Like, for college to be good, I have to have a lot of friends. I have to go out. I have to, get drunk. It's find what I think. Just think about it. One, I think most people should just experience a semester. Like, also go into it just like having an open mind. I think having an open mind is the number one most important thing, because the person I entered college as and the person I left college as are two completely different people. Sure. So I think it's important to just go in and experience. And then once you experience, okay, what did I like about this? What did I not like about this? And
I got to add one more thing before I forget. I think another piece of advice I'd get, try new things. Because I didn't try new things first 2 years. And this year I made a commitment, especially this semester and now next semester. My friend and I talk about it. My roommate, his name is Leo. We always talk about, like, next semester we're going to start trying new things for real. Like, this semester we said it, but we didn't really do it. But, like,
what's an example of try? Yeah, I was going to ask you.
I went to a sculpture art gallery at Yale. So at Yale, there's so many unique people doing great things. Yeah. And it's so cool to be able to see people in their space. For us, my space is being on the football field. Coming to a football game is you seeing my space. Me going to a sculpture art gallery is seeing somebody in their own space doing their work. And it's so awesome to see the creations that they're making at 19, 20, 21 years old. Like, they're like the things you see are ridiculous. So I ended up buying a piece of art while I was there. Wow. But I'm in my room, I'm hanging out. It's a Sunday night, and there's an art gallery thing I saw on my email. And I was like, I told myself all week, I had it on my calendar. And I was like, I'm not going to go. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to this. Because I always say I'm going to do it. I did it. And I got a piece of art from it. And also I got a chance to see a lot of people's cool work and meet some people.
And you sitting at home doing whatever you're doing compared to having such a unique experience and then you actually loving it. Like, you probably look back on it like, that was such a good decision. Like, thank God I went to that.
Got a piece of art on my wall now. I love it. So
it's nice. Dope, yeah. And then I want you to go back to the leadership point, because, again, we text, every year, but I haven't actually seen you in so long. And it's funny because I remember you, like, I remember Yash in high school, just being a high school kid. And now hearing you're so well spoken, you've done so many good things. Like, I see you becoming a leader in your own right. So, props to you on that. But how does someone become that? Like, what is your whole approach on that?
Putting yourself out there. It's I would say the number one thing is, like, you have to put yourself out there and not be afraid for people not to like you. Because the truth is, everyone's not going to like your opinion or what you say all the time. Yeah. But you can cultivate change by being, like, if you have an idea or you have something that you think can create change, you have to put yourself out there to go ahead and try to do it. I think leadership comes in many different ways. You don't have to be the outspoken leader who puts your foot down and is vocal. You can be the leader that leads by example. You can be the leader that comes forward every single day and makes sure that they're going to be the hardest worker. Yep. They're going to be the most attention to detail driven person in the classroom. In the workspace, the best emails, the hardest locked in. Like, there's different ways you could be a leader. I think that the perception is I have to be the most well-spoken, charismatic, and like have the fluff. Like I feel like a lot of people always talk about like being like a politician, and I hate that. I'm like, you don't have to be a politician to be a leader, because like everybody's like, I need to make sure everybody likes me. No, you don't. Be yourself. If you're your authentic self and you find and maximize your potential, let's say your best characteristic is you're an honest person. Some people aren't going to like you because you're honest, but a lot of people are going to be very, very better off because of you for you being honest.
Because I am honest, yeah.
So it's like, find what you're good at, embrace it, and you will be a leader in your own right.
Yeah, and I think for one, there's so many ways you can be a leader in like different things, right? Because most people think of leadership, they think of president or vice president. No, in every club in college or every organization, every fraternity, every society, there's so many different things. If you're just good at math and math is your favorite thing, money, accounting, but you're a quiet kid, you can still be the treasurer, right? You can still get involved, because again, as you're saying, like, there's so many different types of leaders, right? Like you think about Mark Zuckerberg, and you think about LeBron James, right? LeBron James is the most vocal leader in sports. He's always talking, commanding everyone. He's charismatic. He's bubbly. Think about Zuck at Facebook. He was known for being the quiet guy who wears the same clothes every day. He's not charismatic, but they can both still be excellent leaders, right? So I think when a lot of college kids come in, when I think about my time in all these different clubs, I started off again by being one of the members. You got to sit back and watch everyone how they do their thing. But then I said, wait, if I get an idea, which I know everyone who's ever sat in meetings, everyone's had an idea once of, I can make this better. Try to make it better. Like whether it's you running for an election next semester or you just raising your hand and saying, hey, I think we should actually implement this. Like that is your value that you can bring across, and people want to hear it. Like end of the day, everyone wants to have a good leader. Everyone wants to be around successful people. So whatever you're passionate about, you don't have to be a certain type of way. As long as you're following what you're passionate about and you're adding value, you are a potential leader.
We have a very unique thing at Yale. I think every sports team does it, but for football, we have one captain. So most teams have four. They have like a group of captains, like the leadership. We have one captain, and the team elects the captain every single year. So I've had in my time at Yale, we've had three captains from my experience. We've had Nick Arjulo, well, 4 now, actually. John Dean was the first one. Then we had Nick Arjulo, then Wande Owens, and now Dean Schaefer. And those 4 people, when I say like the epitome of what leadership looks like, they were all that. Yeah. But at the same time, there were people on the team, some of them who played a lot, some of them who didn't play, who when I say I looked at and like, I will remember them for the rest of my life. I will be 60 years old and say, who are the most influential people in your Yale experience? It'll be people like, I mean, you don't know this name, obviously, but for me, it's like K2. We call him K2 his nickname, named Kennedy. But like I look back and say like his aura, the way he came to practice every single day, the way he just embraced every single opportunity he had, that's leadership. Yeah. When you can look at somebody and say, I trust you wholeheartedly, and I didn't even know much about the kid. Yeah. And for me, that's leadership. To speak
what did he do? What made him special?
He came in every single day and he went to work. He had great energy. He always smiled. Yeah. He was never in a bad mood. I don't know if life was hard for him. You wouldn't have known. You would never know, because I'm imagining things are probably hard and everyone has hard. Yeah, exactly. But he was always happy. He always had a smile on his face. So like I would say, like when I look at guys like K2, it's like I aspire to be people like that, because I look at and say, okay, like he's somebody who attacked every single day in his own right, and everyone respected him. Yeah.
There you go. And I think again, so many people I think about in my life, right? And I think the big thing is for when people hear stories like that, people want to go like they want to be that, right? So when I think about what you want, like how you can kind of become your own leader, this is what I try to do actually within my own company and within life in general, is I write down my favorite leadership traits in everyone, and I write it all down. So whether it's like LeBron's ability to be vocal, like I'm a big soccer fan, so I'm a Liverpool fan, so Jurgen Klopp is like, fan? Yeah, like die hard. Like I have 5 jerseys in that room. Bro. Been a bad season, but the coach Jurgen Klopp is the first. Like I'm a Cowboys fan and a Nets fan as well, and I've never experienced winning in my life. Yeah. The first time a sports team I have ever won was Liverpool, and the coach is the most charismatic person. He's like hourly affectionate and emotional. Yeah. And I love how like he's like visibly like hourly emotional and like that way, right? And I would go down. I wrote every single thing my favorite leaders had. I write it down, and I would say, you know what? I will just try to be that. I'll try my best to be that. And it's not going to be today or tomorrow, again, as we talked about. But again, if I keep planting these seeds in myself, and I keep trying, next thing I know, you can be that kind of leader that you want to be, if that's what you want to be, right? So
yeah, I got to connect Miles with you. He works for Fenway Sports Group. They own Liverpool.
Yeah,
so
yeah, FSG.
Yeah. So he's had a chance to go to some matches and stuff. So.
Yeah, me and Josh went for our first time last year. We went to a match. It was like one of the best days of my entire life, man.
I've heard they're awesome. I never been. So.
They're awesome in the stadium in general. We sat in like the diehard section, and it was like I can't even describe into words how good of an experience it was. Like the game with the final score was 3-2. We saw like every goal was back and forth. The game winning goal happened right in front of us. Yeah, it was a great experience. Yeah, man. And I could talk to you again, bro, for hours. Like hearing you talk is like it makes so much sense why like one word type and why you're talking with my brother, because I talk to you like I'm talking to family. And that's like the natural vibes I'm getting from you. And like when you say certain things, like the thing about you being observant. And you're talking about how family gets closer over time. And you talk about all these like little small things that, I could think are just insightful points. It just makes me realize like, yeah, man, I'm just glad to chop it up again with you, dude. And like, for one, I want you to have your moment here to kind of shout out whoever you want to shout out, because so many people you've mentioned in this, from the coaches to your teammates to everyone, I want you to have your moment to kind of shout out people, organizations. This is your 30 seconds to really do what you want to do.
Yeah. So I'll look at the camera.
Look at me, the camera, whatever you want.
All right. So I'll start off by saying Yale's been everything for me. Like I could speak about my experience up at Yale. Like I smile on my face every time I talk about it. But like the people, it's all about the people. Like I'm not gonna remember a thing about a class, about, in all honesty, plays that were made. All I'm gonna remember are the people that have impacted my life. And I think about when it comes to faculty, like I work with the faculty. Shout out Nadej. She's like the faculty advisor for BSAC, and like I'm in her office every day, just like talking about my own personal life stuff, how to make Yale better, like her own life. It's so awesome to have people you can go to like that. But like I speak about the K2s, and like if I had any advice for anybody listening to this, is like be like K2. Like
be like K2.
Be like K2. Like K2 was a guy who he's probably gonna be mad that I'm shouting him out like for the whole show, but because that's how the guy is. Like he doesn't, but he's showing up. He has a smile on his face. He's working hard, and everyone's gonna remember him. Everybody at Yale football that you talk to, like they all remember K2 if they played with him, just because of the person he was. So if I had to say anything, leaving this podcast, the biggest thing I want to say is I want to shout you out too. Like, bro, this is awesome. So when you speak about like making something for yourself, like this is what this looks like.
I appreciate it, bro.
Making hard decisions to go ahead and do this. Like this inspires me to say, okay, like doing this is a hard decision. It's a hard decision you have to make. I can only imagine.
It's hard today. It's hard yesterday. It's hard every day, man.
And keep going, as I know you are, because this right here, like sitting here in this chair, it's nice to watch it on a video, but sitting here, it's different. So, in all honesty, shout out Growth Street Hub, man. Like, I mean, like this is an awesome thing you got going on, and like be like K2, leave the jersey better than you found it, and plant a seed you never see you grow. I mean, that's me in a nutshell, and yeah, man, this is awesome.
Yeah, man. For one, I appreciate you showing love to everyone, but also to me, man. Like, we both are dreamers, I think, and the fact that we have these aspirations, we're so young, and you can feel like you're getting old, feel like you don't have enough time, dude. Like, we're here to do big things, and like just from this conversation and from all the other ones that I've had, it just like leaves me more inspired, man. And I know you're about to kill it, so I'm excited to like we're always gonna stay, in contact, but to now have this moment that we shared together, it's like when I am where I want to be, where you are, we're gonna look back on this moment, we're gonna say we gotta do another one.
Oh yeah, run it back.
Yeah, man, but. Overall, man, I just want to thank you, man, because you're doing so many amazing things. You're part of my dream now, and I think you have so much value that you gave to all the students watching at home, all the kids, all the parents. Our demographics are really all ages, so it's really cool how there's so many different things that you've said that I think will have helped so many people. And my last bit of advice is, guys, like be like Mason. Get involved with your school. Really follow your passions. And go all out, because what's going to happen is you're going to be a kid one day, and next thing you know, you're going to be president of all these clubs. You're going to be grinding as an academic, as an academic weapon. you're an athletic weapon. He's all academic team in the Ivy League. So be like Mason, guys. Try hard, follow your passions, and be grateful and be humble. And I really think it'll translate to internships, to jobs, to successful in business, to just achieving your dreams. So, dude, like again, I talked to you for an hour, bro, but. Hope everyone enjoyed. Shout out my brother for starting this connection we had years and years ago.
Yash. Shout out, baby.
Yash P. But all right, guys, thank you so much, everyone. I hope you guys can like, subscribe, share. And if you liked it, please just like interact with the content. Really appreciate you.
Follow.
And see you guys soon.